Welcome in, folks. Again, for those coming in, if you can remember to unmute your video so we can see you. When we're having a conversation about networking, it's just the right thing to do, you know?
Actually. Okay, it's 10:03, so we'll probably go
Yeah.
ahead and get started.
Hey, folks. Again, welcome in to our first session of the new year. We're really excited again to continue the really great, I think, development and workshops that we've been able to offer thus far, and that you guys have been a part of, right? We've heard through your surveys, right, of sessions that you would love to talk, or just topics that you'd love to talk more about. So we've got a really great mentors here for you to connect with, but also we're hoping to have really great conversations within ourselves, right? Just about networking and this thing that, we've talked so much about it as the semester has kind of gone through or the academic year. But, right now we also want to hear from you folks, right, about networking and what are the things that you're nervous about? What do we think networking is? Again, that's something that we've admitted, right? I know that when folks were telling me, you got to go out there and network, um, I thought about it very, one, it was terrifying, right? So I want to normalize that it's okay to feel nervous or, not know exactly what networking means and how, again, it can change many of your trajectories. So that's why we really appreciate the guests that we have today, because you're going to see how networking can directly impact that next move. So if we can use the chat, what is networking? Where, was the last time you guys networked? Like, tell us a little bit more about what we think networking is and the good that it does, right? And I'm going over to the chat. Um, but again, especially as you folks are starting to apply to internships, right? As we're checking in, some are applying to internships, some are applying to jobs, right? We know that this can make a huge difference, right? This networking piece. I've been blessed so far, right? That a lot of my opportunities have come from the networking that I've done, as opposed to applying to a job, right? Or applying to an opportunity that I found all on my own, right? So that's what we're really excited to have a conversation of how can you be strategic, right? And what really goes into this networking piece.
hmm I think that's a good point that Ivana brings up about so often we talk about like, yes, like networking, working your circle, connecting with people. But I think a big question that a lot of you have had has been like, how do people actually land opportunities through networking? Like, what does
Hmm.
that actually mean? And that's exactly what this session is about and what it's for, where we're going to be learning how to talk about yourself with confidence, how to build real connections, and how you can actually turn everyday casual conversations into real opportunities. We'll talk a little bit more about storytelling, about relationship building, and even like career navigation across from tech to engineering to research. And we're really excited today because you'll get to hear from professionals who have been exactly where you are today. And I know that for a fact because our first guest is one of my dear friends, Raphael Richard, who our networking started in grad school back in New York, where we had the opportunity to be in the same master's program and have stayed connected over all of these years. We were just talking about our network, how Raphael was at my wedding just like 10 years ago, and just like how you can keep those relationships going. So we're excited to welcome Raphael Richard, who is a strategic communications professional with experience supporting early career talent like yourselves, with recruitment initiatives at Cisco and across industries. So Raphael brings a talent acquisition informed perspective on what actually stands out, how networking really plays out behind the scenes, like those inner working conversations that we are not all privy to, and how strong storytelling can actually open doors for you. So he'll be able to walk us through his perspective in terms of hearing from students, elevator pitches, how you can position yourself strategically, and also practical networking strategies that you can start to use right away. So excited to welcome Raphael Richard today. So round of applause. Welcome, Raphael.
Welcome.
So much, Cheryl. Happy to be here. Thank you all for inviting me and our
Absolutely.
just long-term connection and doing this work together. And I think that's the three words you used in Yuval's definition of networking, like curiosity, connection, and consistency. I'm going to hone in those a lot more as we talk today. And so that consistency and connection piece, particularly, are going to be important, as you all can see from Cheryl and I having a almost 20-year professional friendship, but also a pro um, personal connection as well. So I'm gonna hop into my presentation in just a second, but before we get go there, I want to kind of understand where you all are in geography and then
Mhm.
life. So if you can just hop in the chat and tell me maybe like what school you're at, what you're studying, your year, just so I kind of understand the audience and what you all are coming with. And so while y'all do that, I will hop up the title screen, and then we'll shortly get started.
All right. So where is everyone coming from? I'm looking in the chat.
We got some UCLA,
Cal State University, Long Beach, marketing. Fullerton
Fullerton.
College, cybersecurity, second year. I see
All right.
marketing, third year, second years. Brittany is
Oh,
studying musicology and music industry at UCLA as a third year.
and thanks for calling those out because as we already went through the beginning of before you all joined the call, I am not a Zoom pro. My company uses WebEx, so thanks for calling that out. But glad to see where we are. I heard a lot of Cal schools. Anybody on the East Coast or the South?
Mhm.
Folks coming into the room.
See, El Camino College studying nursing. I know a few didn't mention in the chat, but I know we have some in like the DMV area.
Yep.
Awesome. Just left the DMV. All right. Well, let's get started. As Cheryl mentioned, my name is Rafael. And before going to Cisco, where I do some engagement strategy, that is a recruiting role, but technically I'm not a recruiter. So I'm not the one that's going to give you that offer, or the one that is going to maybe do a screening with you if you apply for a role. I'm the one that's going to advocate for you on behalf of recruiters. So let's say I go to a career fair at your campus, and then I go back to the recruiters and say, "Hey, I met this really cool student, Kamari Bratton, who is doing this really great work. And here's what I learned about Kamari. And Kaimari has told me all about herself through that networking opportunity, which was at career fair. So that's what I do. I engage talent, whether it's at a career fair, whether it's virtually, whether it's through job posting. I'm at a grocery store and I hear someone mention the word intern, like my ears perk up and start thinking about how I can help that person. And I think that's just how I look at networking. So part of it, I know that networking can feel awkward. That's just the truth of it. It doesn't get less awkward as you get older. It continues to be there. So here's some of the reasons I have heard students or folks in your this entry level early career space say why it may feel awkward. Someone say that I'm just a student. I don't want to bother people. I don't know what to say. And also, maybe I'm still figuring out. I don't know what job or career that I want. If this resonates with you, just say yes in the chat. So I'll get an understanding of how many people have felt that bit of networking feeling awkward. Cool. Thank you, Emerald,
Lots of
Oh,
yeses.
I
Jason.
was gonna say there's a lot of yes.
Yep. And then part
Oh,
of it, so yourself past that awkwardness. One of the things before we even hop in there that I'm just a student. one of the things that we all add value to this. One of my favorite networking quotes is by like Issa Rae. The exact quote, I've been familiar with Issa Rae and Secure from back in the day, where she kind of talks about networking as also laterally. A lot of times we feel like when we network, we have to always network up. Like I need to go speak to the CEO or the president, but this circle right here is a part of your network. And that's exactly how I got the job where I am. It's actually my mentee from college. So when I was a junior, I started mentoring this young woman who's also now in tech, worked at Meta and a few other like AI related companies. And she saw this job at Cisco. And just by her keeping in contact all these years and always talking about career, life, babies, marriage, all the things, she saw the role and was like, hey, I think this would be good for you. And I applied for the role. Not only did I get a role, but I got a role beyond what I applied for, right? And so when they called and talked to me, like, oh, we have something even better for you. And so that's the way that networking works. Part of that consistency that we talked about, that Ivana Cheryl mentioned at the beginning, that connection. And it's always not going to happen immediately. That's a 20-year relationship that job came out of later. So don't think of it as this immediate opportunity. Let's All right, so let's reframe networking. And some of you saw this at the beginning, and what network is not. And so just asking for a job, even if it's at a career fair. One of the things that I see a lot of times at a career fair, I'm at a table, someone comes in, they just push their resume to me like, here, read this, right? It's like, hey, how are you? What's going on? So be sure that you're actually introducing yourself. So, and then just not also collecting LinkedIn connections, right? A lot of times, particularly on the recruiting side, we just get students that click, like, let me connect with you on LinkedIn, right? Do something with that. Just not sending the ask, but like, what are you going to do with that? And then pitching yourself nonstop. Always those who are going to practice a little pitching today is not about that constant reinventing yourself. It's about developing that connection, that relationship over time. But as I mentioned, with that, it's building that familiarity. So how are you becoming familiar with that person or that company? Or that city even, how are you sharing your story? How are they learning more about what you are bringing to the table? And then creating positive signals over time. What do y'all think I mean by signals? This is where the strategy comes into networking. Yep, create. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. That was you. I was like, oh, yeah, someone retyped it for me. Thank you. When I say creating positive signals over time, what are we hinting at there?
And you all can feel free to unmute yourselves as well and speak out. Or we can call a few people out too, because I know you all have
I,
great.
I was trying to, that's my go-to, right? Like I love that Socratic method, but I just met y'all, so I was giving you a break. But
All right, Emerald responded in the chat, said positive relationships.
yep, that's a part of the signal, but like when you say relationship, what do you mean? How do you evolve that, right? And so when we say like creating a signal, it's that think about the when we talked about the consistency, right?
Mhm.
So consistency is part of a signal. Maybe I've connected with you on LinkedIn because we use the career fair as an example. Cisco is coming to your campus for a career fair. I may connect with you over LinkedIn and then introduce myself. Then I may show up to the career fair and then meet you in person, like, hey, I sent you a message. And then I'm gonna send you after I meet you a thank you note that stopped by. And then maybe 3 weeks later, I may send you, hey, I'm just updating you on what my internship process is looking like. It's not asking for anything in that, but you're just being consistent and you're creating signals that allow you to stay in connection with those folks. So a lot of when it comes down to when you think of some of that networking is like how can you be consistent, right? And I think that's probably sometimes
Oh, Ralph, you froze a little bit for us. But I was gonna,
where we get brought.
is he freezing for you guys too?
He is, yes.
Okay,
Oh no.
Oh, now you're good.
you're back. I was just
Okay.
going to add, Raphael, that we actually talked a little bit about this a few sessions ago. You guys remember that when we had Gabe Lamelli come in to talk about LinkedIn and how we can network via LinkedIn, and he talked a lot about these positive signals. And I don't know if he called it that, but in terms of staying at top of mind. So you're not necessarily like asking for like a favor or saying like, hey, give me a job, but it's like, hey, we had a conversation. You mentioned that you're really into snowboarding. Here's an article. And also, by the way, like I'm also working on this. Like, what do you think? And just keeping that connection going. So I love that you brought that up, Raphael.
Yep. And then those the connection points when they're getting to know you, right? So some of it is like, all right, we can talk about where we live. I saw that someone in the chat is from like Hampton, right? It's like, oh, that's to me an HBCU connection. That's another signal of how I can connect with them. UCLA is like another one. One, I just love the campus, but I love working with some of the students there. So what are those connection points and signals that you can find outside of sometimes that are exactly a job? And so on the TA perspective, talent acquisition or recruiter perspective, one of the things that we look for is one is how you communicate, and that's just not even just the verbal communication. That's written communication, and how you come up to us or share your perspective. The curiosity is another piece because the industry is changing, regardless of your major, regardless of what you're studying. We look at everything based on skills, right? And so even if you say, I want to do X, part of what my recruiter brain thinks about is like the Y and Z too, because those skills that you may have at whatever X is can also transfer to Y and Z. So it's like, oh, well, have you ever thought of this job or this role? Because you do have the skills that relate to that. So be curious about not just what exactly you're studying, but how what you're studying or what you want to do impacts everything else around you. And part of that curiosity right now, everyone, is AI. So if you're not
Mm.
kind of looking at how that is impacting your industry or learning more about it, I would definitely encourage you to do that. And I get it. There's some other nuances about AI we can talk about in another session about the environment. All the we I'm happy to go there, right? But uh, explore the curiosity, become knowledgeable about it, know how to talk about your perspective of it. And as I mentioned, consistency, those ways to show up, and then receptiveness. As I just mentioned, the industry is constantly changing. So sometimes being receptive to other ideas or concepts or other roles are just going to be super important. So let's switch gears a little bit and think about like why, where network actually happens. So yes, at career fairs, panels, and conferences, but also here, as mentioned, class projects, study groups, office hours, hackathons, student orgs. So where else for you all does that happen? You can hop in off mute or hop on the chat. There's intentionally some gaps I left here, but where else besides these places is networking happening?
I have one for this group too. We just did the holiday homecoming, and that was a great opportunity. I know a lot of you like came up to Yvonne and myself and got to connect with like other mentors and reps who are involved with BCS. So that's a great example. So maybe like a holiday party that you went to. What else? I see Princess says on campus jobs. Oh,
Absolutely.
it's a good
That
one.
was one of like the things that I, as a work study student, I was like, wait, what is student affairs? Like, what does that mean? How do I do that? Grad school, I was like, what? You went to grad school? No kidding, but it is like exactly a coffee shop. You see someone you may know or you may not know, which is so
Yeah.
interesting. Like I started recently going to this thing called Hey Coworker. I'm here in New Orleans where some people that remote, they meet up every Thursday at a different black owned coffee shop. Everybody's doing their own type of work, industry, whatever, and we all just work together and connect, right? But how that happened, before I even moved to New Orleans, I was here for work recruiting students like yourselves and met this photographer at a coffee shop who turned out to be my frat brother, who turned out to know a bunch of other friends. And here we are like 10 years later, we're still friends, right? And now he's created this whole other brand. So again, it never stops online. And that's the piece that's missing here. and that digital networking. We mentioned LinkedIn. Instagram is also just like another place. But when you go to these places, another way to think about networking too is like hidden networking moments that you know, if you're unsure, like I don't want to walk up to someone, but let's say you're at a panel and they open the opportunity for Q&A, the question you may ask publicly, people are going to remember that question, right? And they're going to come to you afterwards and they may say, "Oh, I was thinking that exact same thing." You just open up an opportunity for others to network with you, right? Again, conversations after the event. If you just want to chat about like what happened after the event with someone, that's there. Follow-up messages. Also, again, as I said, when you meet someone, sending a message within 48 hours, and we're gonna get to that. And then group chats and channels. So sometimes there's conversations happening within class. What do you call the discussion boards? Like all that, all those things are opportunities to network. And so even I think my partner we started getting art right, and so we're at a event and we bid on a piece of art at like an auction, right? That opened up an opportunity for us to connect with other people who like art. Then they may like art, but they may be in the same industry once you start chatting with them. So every opportunity is there. So don't think of it always as this formal event, right? That happens or a networking event. It's gonna happen all the time. Um, have any of these ever happened to you all in terms of networking? When you ask the question or follow a message or group chat, has that happened in your school, your life?
See some typing. Yep, club meetings.
Yep, Emerald said right now we are networking, correct. But I haven't heard from you. So that's where, I appreciate the typing. I'm waiting for that brave person just to be
Hamanat,
verbal.
I'm looking right at you.
All right. Well, again,
Hamanat was one of those brave students, Cheryl, right? That came
Oh
right
yeah.
up to us at the holiday homecoming. So way to network.
so
I
again,
have
just
like, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I had like an example that wasn't really related to a like job situation, but there was a advisor at BCS a couple years ago and she was no longer with BCS, but I stayed in touch with her and I'm thinking about applying to Barnard. It's one of my top choices and I am applying as a transfer student, so all my friends who go there had like a different experience. And she
Mhm.
mentioned that her sister actually applied as a transfer student. So when I was in New York in October, she was able to like give me a tour and explain the whole transfer process. And I was able to meet people in the transfer office, which I wouldn't have had if I just hadn't kept in touch with her.
Absolutely. And another thanks for that. And I also used to work in student affairs at Columbia/Barnard, advise Barnard student groups. So if you ever want to speak to some alums of Barnard, let me know. And then Charlie Ivana, let's get Hamina's address too. I'm going to send you a Cisco swag pack with some Cisco stuff in there just for being able, the brave person to shout. So uh, that's coming for you. But definitely that's always an opportunity to do that. And that's going to help you reach your goals, whether it's now or later. So, and Devon says, we went to a TV show showing, and the audience met a nurse who worked in the ER. We stayed connected through Instagram, and she helped me gain insight into the job. Exactly. It never stops. So, great examples. Appreciate y'all sharing that. So another thing is when you're networking, what are you actually saying, right? Or you want to say later. So some of the things that I'm gonna look for is like clarity. Like, what are you trying to communicate to me, and are you able to explain that in a clear way? Also, do you ask good questions? And I know you heard that saying that no question is a bad question. Sure, but also being know your audience, right? And terms of who you're asking those to. I think sure what's happening with my Wi-Fi this morning. I think it's Zoom, but asking good questions and then coachability, right? Can you learn? Are you coachable? That's something particularly in where you all are that recruiters are looking for, particularly on an internship, entry job level. We already know you're not going to know everything, right? But part of it is like, are you coachable and can you take on um, and want to learn more about the industry, the company? And then confidence, right? Like ownership. Even if you got something wrong, you're not arrogant about it, but you're confident in how you overcame whatever that situation was. So Emerald says basically so questions can be bad questions. I mean, I'll leave that up to you to define Emerald. But that can be another conversation. All right. So I know part of this is on storytelling, right? What do we mean by storytelling when we think of networking and people?
Come on, y'all. Defining who you are, Morgan says. Princess says anecdotes. Jason, did I see you just unmute yourself? Was that my bad?
Oh, Devon, come on, Devon. Offering your goals as a story to get others hooked. Okay.
Oh,
There's a really good book called Hook Point. Highly recommended. That helps really identify what those are. All right, I don't want to,
Kamari.
It's
Kamari.
Kamari.
All right, awesome. Go ahead.
Um, my bad for not having my camera. I usually have my camera on every meeting, but
Or
greetings. My name is
does.
Kamari Brown. I actually am a grad of Spelman College, sociology pre-law major. And to me, storytelling is how specifically like for me, how I turn my lived experiences into lessons. Um, and it's a way of, advocating for yourself. Oh, excuse me. It's a way for advocating for yourself. So yeah.
Absolutely. Again, another connect. Thank you for like. So Kamari did not have to drop those little hints, right? About like this who I am, this is what I do, but she decided to do that. Like little known fact about me, Kamari, I have 9 credit hours from Spelman, right? That was my seriously, that was my Hurricane Katrina school that I went to. And for Christmas, my partner got me a Spelman sweatshirt, so I'm so excited to wear that for the first time. So shout out to my Spelman sister, Kamari.
Yes, come through.
Uh, and so you're absolutely right, right? It's really about helping to define your story, what you want people to remember, right? That is gonna help because when we talked about that. So one of the things that's now I know that hey, there's this connection point between Kamari and I, right? And so like from a just a pure networking point, I'm gonna take my recruiter hat off. That makes me want to connect with Kamari even more, right? As a recruiter, right? There's no like discriminatory about what that looks like in terms of school and who I went to, but it's still a memorable story. If even if I want Kamari to connect with maybe other Spelmanites at my company, like, hey, I don't have anything for this person, but would you mind talking to her? She went to your undergrad, so find ways to introduce little pieces of your story as you connect. All those things are super helpful. So, as you can see, part of it's who you are, what motivates you, and where you want to grow. So, those are 3 things I want you all to think about. And again, it doesn't have to be this long, exhaustive list or this narrative of an elevator pitch. It's just little parts of your introduction. So thank you for that. I'm going to give an opportunity for anyone else that wanted to share before we move on. All right. All right, cool. And this is kind of like the formula that I'm thinking about. What is your networking story? Again, we're not going to do elevator pitch. We're not going to go through that, but I think just little signals that you can remember for yourself. What do you focus on now? So, Kamara, I heard you're a recent grad. I heard pre-law. Like, are you applying to law school now? Are you applying for internships? What is your present now?
Thank you for asking. So currently my present is I just got hired. So I got my first big girl job, y'all. So I'll be working with the Los Angeles California Public Defender's Office as a client advocate. While doing that, I'll be going like back to school. I'm just trying to get law school paid for. So if y'all know anybody who can pay for law school or any type of grad school, we're gonna network for that. Because yeah, I'm trying to stay debt free. But yeah,
And what sparked your interest in law?
since fun fact, I graduated from Crenshaw in 2021. And I was the student board member while I was at Crenshaw. And I always just been interested in educational equity and advocacy. And then I always just like to talk. So I was just like, okay, I've just always wanted to be a lawyer. Like, yeah, I gotta be a lawyer. Like Jasmine Crockett is like me, like all the way T in the room. Like that's me. So yeah.
All right, awesome. And so, like, if we just take kind of what, if we think about that 30-second formula, right? We just learned Kamari's 30-second formula about which books on now. He had just got a new job at LA. I've always been interested in law for these reasons. I, became familiar with Jasmine Scott, and now I'm also interested in attending law school, but want to remain debt free. So I'm looking possibly for companies in the future that can help me get it paid for, right? And so, like, that would be something very simple. She doesn't have to say all those three things in one sentence, but those are three signals that you can reuse and repetitively use as you begin a network and just put them into other parts of the conversation. So thank you for Kamari for being so open to that. We'll also get you some swag over to you. All right. So for those of us who are still in school, right? I did an internship friendly version because I just highly encourage internships in all parts of your life. Every time one's available to apply for, go for it. So what this could look like is I'm currently, well, let's have someone volunteer that isn't the two people we've already heard from.
I don't mind sharing.
Go for it. More.
I'm Morgan and I'm an undergrad at CSULB and I'm currently studying marketing and I'm focusing on becoming some type of fashion marketing intern, I guess. I became interested in marketing through I honestly would say like Pinterest, like from like high school. I've always like putting outfits together. And then I started thinking, I'm like, okay, how can I make money off of this? Because first I wanted to be a stylist, and then I was like, okay, this is not gonna make you that much money. So I thought to myself, I was like, okay, maybe you could do marketing and innovate brands' message and diversify them as well. I feel like a lot of brands aren't very diversified. They have a very strict or like understated message. So I'm trying to promote that. And now I'm exploring internships where I can at least get my foot in the door and become familiar with the marketing side and see if there's anything I want to change or what else I can do with a marketing degree.
Absolutely. And that's exactly where, but I think there's some parts in there where Morgan, yes, but want you to be a little remember that confidence of it. And so it's like I think, I want, like I'm not sure. So be a little more confident there. Exactly what you said is what you want to do. Like how you became interested, I think through Pinterest. Again, exploring that digital aspect of it is great. So thank you for that. And I see Emerald wants to go next.
Yes, I do. Hello, everyone. My name is Emerald. I'm currently studying African American Studies at UCLA. I'm also a junior. Um, Sorry, can you guys hear me? I think it cut out.
No, all good.
Okay. And I am minoring in community engagement and social change. Honestly, I became interested through just experiencing life. With me coming from South Central, a lot of times, when going to school or just simply trying to live or get through my day, it was kind of challenging with gang violence sweeping the streets, drug abuse, even kids, getting involved in things like that. So it kind of sparked my interest in, you know, wanting to learn more about my community just so that I could figure out ways to help. And so now I'm exploring internships where I can um, kind of grow as a person, but also figure out ways that I can learn more about the environment or my community so that I can figure out ways to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emerald, for sharing that. We'll take one more on this. Jordan?
Yes, hi. My name is Jordan. I'm currently studying business administration. I'm a first year at West LA College, and I'm focusing on authorship and becoming an author and growing my book sales. And I became interested just through reading the books that I did growing up and the feeling that it inspired in me. And I kind of, ever since I published my first book, I knew that that's what I wanted to keep doing for the rest of my life. So now I'm exploring internships where I can learn more about marketing and sales and getting better at that.
Awesome. Thank you. Only thing I add for you, Jordan, is because you mentioned two important things, like your own books and then books that you read. And I left still curious about that, right? And so either like share some of that, or the person you're talking to can definitely ask. But I think that was a great way. Someone mentioned earlier like a hook, like you want to hook people in. That is the hook right there. That's your hook about either the subject matter you're writing about or the books that inspired you, because some of those books that inspired you may have inspired that person you're talking to, or they may be familiar with the subject matter that book holds. But that was very good. All right, we're gonna move on. A few more slides. And one of the things I want to say, as I mentioned already, don't feel you need all the answers, especially if you're still exploring. So, in some of that we mentioned, right? You can say like, I'm curious about, even if you're first year, you haven't even decided your major yet, right? Like, I'm curious about these things. I'm considering studying, or I'm learning more about this, right? And so those are all things that are going to help people just connect with you, but also help them help you. If I understand what you're curious about, what you're exploring, what you're studying, I may have something to offer there. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, just following up. So turning those conversations into opportunities. So be sure that you exhibit some type of gratitude in there. You give a specific reference. And I think, Jordan, your example will be the last one. I mean, sorry, not the last one, but a good use case of giving that specific reference. I told you about the books. Like, we talked about this book that we both read when we were kids. I'd like to, meet up for coffee or have another virtual conversation about this other book, right? And so always find that connection point and a way to keep it going. I think sometimes we send the message or we send the LinkedIn connection and we want it to stop there. But you got to show that curiosity to keep that relationship moving and moving forward. And then lastly, don't just network when you need something. Network people think of you before you ask. One of my late mentors told me this when I was maybe about 8 or 9. There's this quote that says, "It's not what you know, it's who you know," right? And my mentor turned that around. He said, "It's not even who you know, it's who knows you." So if I'm looking for an author and I know that Jordan has already told me all about the books he read. And then when I think about a writer, now I'm like, oh, I met this student Jordan. And so it's who knows you, right? And so how do people get to know you through networking? And that's part of what your focus is on there. So thank you. I know we have maybe a few minutes for some questions. I'm happy to uh, answer any and everything you all want about my personal career in networking, or just some tips.
Yeah, go ahead, Emerald.
Okay, so this is my thing, right? Like, I know you kind of touched up on like how to speak even when you don't know what it is that you want to do, but it's just
Mhm.
kind of like for me, like I just feel like there's so many things that I want to do that, like, when I do get into those spaces where, it's time to network, like, I don't even know where to start. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, I don't know, like, what do I say or what's the best approach when it's like you want to do more than one thing and I can't like necessarily pinpoint an exact career, you know?
Yeah, I think that context matters, right? And so thinking about the impact, oh, I think we had a little. Can you hear me, Emerald?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I think part of that is context matters too. Like, so not every networking situation is going to be identical, right? And so I think part is thinking about the context you're in. When you say these spaces, give me some examples of spaces that you've recently been in networking.
Like, for example, job interviews. I've had quite a few job interviews lately. And they when it comes down to asking questions about me and what sparked me to do this job, or what is it that they sometimes even ask what is it that I want to do after college. It's just kind of like I kind of freeze because it's like I just don't even know where to start, kind of.
Understood. Okay. So a job interview, you know that it's that particular, hopefully that have a job description, right? And so in that job description, I love things in threes. So what are those three things that you can identify in that job description that match three things you want to do in your future? And I think that is a good connection point. So if the job requires, for instance, it's like marketing, right? I have interest in marketing, sales, and comms. This role will help me explore that interest by one, doing this project in marketing, two, doing this project in sales, three, in comms. And so you think about that context that you're currently in, right? Now, if you're at, another event that's a marketing networking event where solely focused on some of that marketing. So I think part of it is really understanding the context of where you are, and who's around you to be able to emphasize that. Again, you don't have to give them everything that you're thinking about right now, but I do think what you can do is take that curiosity that you have of everything and really maybe condense that into a list of three, or have those things on standby so you know the text. If I'm in this place, here's my focus. If I'm in this place, here's my focus. So I think part of what you want to do is really take some of that curiosity you have and figure out how to not necessarily compartmentalize it, but theme it, and so that you'll know whatever those broad themes are, right? Because someone mentioned earlier that I think person's name, but they kind of mentioned they were interested in like what we call in my field corporate social responsibility, right? Where that is so broad. Like what I'm doing right now, if I were to like say I'm doing this on behalf of my job, this would be corporate social responsibility. But I also do it as a part of my job, also do it in the community. And so there's different ways to do the same thing within different industries, and different areas where you can still have that passion, and not all of your passion has to be job related too. So you mentioned like there's a lot of things I want to do. Well, maybe you're 9 to 5, you do this one thing, and maybe some of the other things are what you explore entrepreneurially, or you volunteer to do that, or it's a hobby. So you got to figure out how to label these things and segment them in different contexts. But that doesn't take away from those things when you explain it, but it just adds value that, yeah, you really can distinguish between them.
Okay, thank you so much.
I had a question regarding like if you had any suggestions for how to find internships maybe, or
Absolutely.
like scholarships or anything that gets your foot in the door and gets you familiar with what you're studying.
Yeah, absolutely. So, LinkedIn, I love for internships, and I don't mean just like going to the job space on LinkedIn, but people reposting things, or even there's searches, and when you have certain companies, you may want to look at connecting with people from that company. So one thing is going to be the company's website. So LinkedIn, one, their jobs, connecting with people. Company websites, another space. They may not always post it to other spaces. There's this site called Idealist, IDEALIST.org, that really focuses on like nonprofit internships, and also like grad school fairs. Like all those things are listed there. And then again, AI, right? There is ways that you can use certain platforms to really, hey, this is, what I'm looking for. I would not recommend
Just gotta get, it's the minute I speak that he would just come right back.
Uploading your resume off, but then say, you just, did you lose me?
Yeah, we
You're
lost
good now.
again. You're back though.
Okay. So those sites, Idealist and also like AI to kind of search using your resume without your contact information to help them give you themes of it. But also organizations like this. Are some of the best places to go. Nonprofits that can help you go into other industries. I heard someone mention law, like SEO, Sponsors for Educational Opportunity, is a great place. MLT, Management for Leaders Tomorrow, focused on business-related internships and roles. Inroads is another one. The T. Howard Foundation focuses on marketing roles and career roles, but some of those have deadlines, right? So it's also paying attention to what those are. But I think some of these organizations are some of the best places to do that. But also identify your industry, what companies you want to go and go directly to those websites to learn about it. And it may take a while, right? Start a spreadsheet and look at them. But don't be afraid also to get them in your community. And that's where Idealist really comes into play. All right. Emerald, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I have another question. And Morgan, that was a great question. Um, but okay, so like, let me just slow down my mind, y'all. My mind is racing. Okay. Um, how do you m- like how do you maintain, I guess, like that motivation, like even when you're told no? Because I feel like a lot of times, like I've gotten so many no's last year, and it was very discouraging. And I kind of beat myself up about it, and I was kind of like, just losing faith in even myself. So it's just kind of like, how do you keep going?
Absolutely. So I think, this current market, and I'm sorry that you're going through that, and I understand, right? So I graduated college in 2008, where the market in the US crashed. So it was like, go to grad school because there were any jobs, right? So I think part of it, Emerald, is that curiosity of
Mm.
it, that you continue to learn more about what that looks like. And then when you say no, can you tell me where you're getting like no's for jobs, for internships? What were those no's? So just have a little more context.
Yeah, it's like jobs and even internships.
At what level are you at? Like, are you
I'm a third year.
so what type of jobs are you applying to and what type of internships?
Well, right now, like lately, I've been applying to like nonprofit kind of jobs to where I could just
Mhm.
kind of help like entry level positions. And as far as internships, it'd be like community outreach or like a position like that.
Okay. Have you ever gotten any feedback on the nose, or have you ever done like a one-on-one resume or interview workshop?
Never.
That would be where I would think so, right? I think that's where it kind of starts because sometimes we're getting the no and not understanding the why. And I think you have to take the time to explore more of that why, right? And so, um, the third, I'm not sending you swag, Emerald, but I'll give you a 30-minute consultation on kind of like, I want to look at your resume and I want to do a screening, a short screening and kind of help you understand some tips to go through why. And so taking that time to do that, one of the things that I did in undergrad was work with professors that I didn't even have their class with, right? And say like,
Mhm.
hey, can you read my grad school application? Can you do a sample interview with me? And so even outside of applying to that, using your network, right, to practice. Have someone else look at your resume outside of that. Practice interviewing with a friend and have them give you some tips as well as some feedback. So I think that's gonna be super helpful is taking some feedback outside of those interviews
Right.
and leveraging that information. And it looks like they put a one-on-one session on there, so that should help too. In addition to, but don't stop there. Just don't. There's plenty of opportunities for you to do that. Even like when I started searching for jobs in the tech, like there were some of these companies that do like executive coaching where they're like, "Oh, we'll give you a free session." You know what? I
Mm.
took advantage of those free sessions. Did I sign up for their $1,000 coaching? Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna say it, and then he's gonna come back.
But I took advantage of that free session
There.
and I got different perspectives, right? So
Sorry, Raphael. It's like a little insider now. The minute I start speaking, your Wi-Fi comes back.
it's all good. We will
We hear
uh
you now.
yes. I think we have time for like one or two more. Is that correct?
Yeah, Zalia, did you have a question? Zalaya? Oh,
Oh,
no.
yes. Hello.
Yeah, go for it.
Are there well, I'm unsure how to ask.
Oh,
Um, hmm, wait, okay, I still have to think about it. Sorry.
okay, no worries.
Um,
Oh, yes, Kamari did have a question on do you have any gems or advice for someone applying to Columbia's HBCU fellowships or just fellowships? If you're familiar with it, and then also, of course, dropping your LinkedIn.
Yep, I was actually this is what I'm doing now, copy and pasting my LinkedIn into that. So we're on the same page there. I am not familiar with that program. Oh, Cheryl did it. But I think again, always finding alumni of it. So there should be a way to just put that fellowship into LinkedIn as well. And you may come across some alumni, their profiles of that. And one thing I've learned about people professional in professional careers that they love to talk about themselves. And so reach out and she's like, hey, I'm interested in applying to this. Can I chat with you a little bit more about your experience? A lot of times you may be surprised at how many yeses you get from that. So I say identify folks who were, have been in those shoes, got into the program, make a connection, and that may help with that. But I'm happy to look more into the program, and if there's any other insights, get that information to you,
Thank you.
or reach
Devon,
out to me directly. That will may help you get a better response. To be quite transparent.
mhm.
good point.
Last question.
Yeah, Devon, I see your hands up.
After you make that like initial connection with the networker, how do you continue the conversation? So I know you said like the 48 hours, but what do you in that 48 hours, what do you say? How do you, oh, I still want to connect. We touched over this. Like, how do you do that? I think that's awkward with me, so I just don't know how to continue.
So if you were to send me, let's use an example, right? Today's Saturday. So I expect to hear from you, Devon, by Monday. What are you gonna what you telling me?
I'm not sure. We met over Zoom. I really like the conversation we had. Are there any more tips you can provide? And then I'll guess maybe share my major, where I want to go.
What are you curious about?
Well, I guess my major is nursing. I was interested for a short time in like corporate nursing, how to turn that into kind of like a corporate job, how to um I can't even remember the name. Like management in healthcare, stuff like that at the like higher side. So maybe I'll ask you, what do you have some tips or have you heard anything? Do you have any professionals that you can connect me with?
Yep. So exactly. So
LOL.
Watch him go.
my partner is a hospital CEO. And so and so yes, we can get you connected to this. So send me that message and I hope he can hear me because I'm talking loud. We got you. And so
Okay.
and just
Devon, that was
remember
great.
that you even the network right now he's interviewing for a chief nursing officer, right? So you think about that level you want to go, he's currently interviewing people there. So if that's a goal of yours, where do we start now? How do I even get to that chief nursing level? Maybe something you want to know, right? And so that exactly where you show that curiosity, that is where the next level starts. And it happens.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We all planned that.
Oh, but be mindful of that. So interesting story. We were out because again, networking happens anywhere. We were actually out at a bar and had some college students who were sat to us and talking. They were nursing students as well. And then the hospitals working at the time, they began to trash that hospital. Had no context, just began to like, oh, this hospital. this and that operations at this hospital, and they turned red, right? And then it was two people. One said, well, that was her. That wasn't me, right? So here's my information and go there. So also in that, y'all, be mindful of when you're thinking of your industry too. Just again, who's around you, companies, all that, because the world is closer than you think sometimes. So always remember that even when you're networking, that you never know who's in that room. So save that for your group chat and wait till
Mm.
you get back home and not do that in person because you just never know. All right. But thank you all. This has been amazing. Feel free to reach out to me. The two people that I owe swag to will make sure that you get that in the next couple of weeks. But happy to support you all in your career journeys in any way that I can. Please, please be in touch. And in any way I can help you, I will do so.
Amazing. Look at that. Raphael, thank you so much for your time. And again, I think this just goes to show like who's in the room. Like this is your network.
Mhm.
And Raphael is just so good about knowing everybody somehow, some way, and having a connection. So appreciate you sharing that with our group. Huge round of applause for our speaker, Raphael,
Yay.
for taking time on a Saturday to come and hang out with us. Um, Raphael, we appreciate your time and we'll let you get back to your Saturday. For our students, we are going to go ahead and take a shorter break today. So you have about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, whether you need a bio break, and then we're going to get back into our second portion of today's call, which is going to be our panel discussion. So feel free to turn off your camera. We'll play some vibes and some good music, and we'll be back in 3 minutes, let's say.
Perfect. All right, we can start turning those cameras back on. We always appreciate even those of you on the move, right, are able to log in. But if you are stationary, and especially given our conversation, right, and feeling very inspired after hearing from Raphael. And as you guys know, right, I think as we go through these sessions, um, we start with these topics, and then by the end, I'm like, it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay
Mhm.
to be exactly where you are in this. I wanted to also affirm, like, hearing folks say, I don't know where to start. Half the time, you just have to get organized about this stuff, right? Like, you'd be amazed what happens when you just sit down and like do those activities like Raphael,
Yeah.
put out for you.
And I was also going to add to like the courage that it takes to like ask some of these questions. And I know sometimes it can be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
networking and uncomfortable like unmuting yourself and asking a question. But I'll give a shout out to Devon because I know that that was uncomfortable for you to ask your question. And like, look where it led. And I was so glad to hear you say that because I know Raphael very well and like know the connections. And like, this is an opportunity now potentially for you. So I encourage you all as we go into the remainder of our sessions and as we hear from our next panelists, unmute yourselves, ask your questions because you just never know where these opportunities can lead. So we're excited to move on to part two of today's session.
Awesome. And this, again, you guys are hopefully starting to catch the drift, right, of our mentors and our workshop folks and panelists. They are very much connected to our networks, right? So everything that we preach, we practice. For me, this is like so emotional all of a sudden. But for a lot, you guys, as you know, I'm here based in Baltimore. I first, when I moved to this area, thought I wanted to live in DC. I was like, what is Baltimore? I had applied for a job at the University of Maryland, right? Didn't get that job, was devastated, right? And then, like 6 months later, I hear from the person I interviewed with, and she's like, hey, you still job searching? Because I know of this program at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Fantastic program, fantastic students, helping students, especially underrepresented students, get prepared for and seek advanced degrees. It's called the Meyerhoff Scholars Program. Cut to Dr. Kendall Queen and Matthew Shirley, who were a part of that program, were a part of those first few cohorts that I worked with, and are now friends, right? And people that I know their story, and I know that they are great, whether you're in tech or not. I think with all of our guests, right, you get so much more than just pathway, right? Technical. You get the nitty gritty, the story, the real human why people might go to an advanced degree, or how do people, use their network to get to that next step. You can learn that from anyone. Right. So we really appreciate all of you, being here. And again, this is an honest conversation about not only again navigating in your careers but building that confidence. Part of doing what you're doing right now, that's part of that. Like, remember we talked about those workouts with Jess, right? Those confidence workouts. So look at us, y'all. We're closing our rings, as I like to say. But again, our panelists bring complementary perspectives from computer vision, robotics, biomedical engineering, and research. They also, combine, like I said, not just that technical aspect, but I know their stories personally. I knew them when they were your age and running around UMBC, saying the same things as you guys. Like, I don't know how to do this, Miss Abreu. I don't know how to, I don't feel confident today, or I'm having this issue. So, again, when we thought about who to bring onto this panel, to me, there are no better panelists. And they'll tell you more about their stories. They'll show you some great examples of what they've been up to, and why, again, they are great folks to be here and to continue this conversation on why your network matters, right? They're also best friends, y'all. So we're very happy to have Dr. Kendall Queen and Dr. Matthew Shirley. And I knew them when they were just Kendall and Matthew, right? But really excited to have you both here. Let's give them a virtual round of applause. And I'll stop sharing my screen so we can get a better look at them. Thanks for
Well,
unmuting again, folks. Hey, Zelaya, good to see you.
that was such a great intro.
Yeah, right. I mean, literally, as I'm
A real great one.
with Raphael, thinking through how powerful all of these conversations and connections are. But Maybe to start us off, we can get each of you to introduce yourselves, and just walk us through that professional academic journey, lay the context for our students and especially those key roles and experiences.
Mm,
So Matthew, you're
mm.
unmuted. Did you want to start first?
Yeah, I'll actually start first. I got one slide here just as a quick introduction to myself.
Love it.
Let me, I'm hoping some people recognize immediately the background slide, but because I'm a nerd. But if everybody can see the slide.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, where my anime heads
Okay,
at?
yeah. So if any anime heads are out there, I'm definitely a huge one, but favorite is One Piece. But I'm also a huge basketball. Basketball is my first love, as I say. So I got found a photo of him with a basketball. But as an introduction to me, as they said, my name is Matthew Shirley. Let me make sure I'm in the middle. I'm in my office right now, but I'm from Maryland, so from Bowie, Maryland, which is in PG County. We're very proud. If you're from PG County or familiar with PG County, very proud of our area. I grew up in basically in if anyone's familiar with the science and tech, or basically a magnet program, and so through that program, found out about this Meyerhoff program that Miss Abreu was referring to earlier. And that led me to UMBC, which led me to my undergraduate degree in biochemistry and molecular biology. And in undergrad, I was involved in, I mean, plenty of things. I was on a fraternity. I was on a step team. I played intramural sports. I played club sports. I got involved in doing everything, and probably too involved in doing anything that I and a bunch of things that I maybe even getting away
We
from
won't
school
go
too
there,
much, and that
Matthew.
led to, yeah, we won't go there. Yeah, we're not gonna go there. Okay. So but I led me to getting my degree in biochemistry and microbiology, and with the let's just say my network in in the Meyerhoff program, specifically my advisor, Ms. Abreu, telling me about this opportunity at Drexel that they had, in her capacity as my advisor, where they're looking for PhD students to come into this program called the NSF Bridge to Doctor program. I'm not sure of the current status of it, but the Bridge to Doctor program was a great program for me, and applied and fortunately got in. That led to me going into the biomedical engineering PhD program at Drexel. Through that program, I ended up getting my master's and getting my PhD, and my focus was in polymer microbubbles. Are basically familiar with ultrasound, the ultrasound that they use to see babies within the in pregnant women. You can also use it to visualize other structures of the body. And what I worked with is using these compounds called contrast agents that can be delivered within the body to more highly visualize certain structures in the body. And that is the visual is playing. There's some pictures here, just showing different images that I took just a couple images I took throughout my graduate career. And then as just far as that led me to a program called the SMDP program, or the Scientists Mentoring and Diversity Program. Through that program, it put me in touch with industry mentors in pharma, within biotech, namely name like your Johnson and Johnsons and your Pfizers, and those big company names. But through that program, it led me to talking to my current mentor, who also works in my current company called Insight Corporation, which is a mid-sized pharma company in Delaware. And through that connection, that actually led me to getting a job in, as I say, my profession in drug development and clinical operations within the pharma industry. Now, I think I've talked about it a little bit already, but yeah, I'm a big anime, manga aficionado. Play all kinds of sports. I'm still involved in sports: baseball, softball, basketball, bowling, name it. But a big piece of my life is family, as I'm a huge family friend oriented. As far as my free time, it's usually trying to be spent being around family, being around my friends. I literally just moved back to Maryland specifically for that purpose, and then travel out to Wilmington, Delaware for work. And then obviously I'm in a fraternity and I travel a lot as well. But the motivation throughout all this is something I learned going into undergrad, and that's kind of taking me through my entire journey, which is had I don't even remember who said it, but I just know during our undergrad, we have a bridge program that brings us into our freshman year. And someone there, really just kind of said this quote that spoke to me, and that was just true success is measured by the number of lives you touch. And I remember when I was trying to form my, I guess, purpose, because I came in undergrad kind of unsure, like, okay, I know I can do this, I know I can do this, but how and what is my guiding principle in a sense as I move forward? And I heard that and I said, oh, no, that speaks exactly to who I am or who I want to be. And yes, and so that's a little bit of background on me.
Thank you.
What a great intro. Thank you.
Right, you guys are getting to know some great people here.
Yeah.
I think we had some different interpretations of how this intro is going to go. But I can share mine as well. I
Yeah,
got a
go
couple
for
of
it.
slides.
Yeah, yeah. Can I stop sharing? Can you just take over?
We'll
I'm gonna
find
stop
out.
sharing. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
just
that's
stop
that's
sharing.
great. Thank you, bro. All right. We good? I think
Yeah.
we're good. All right, cool. I don't know where you guys went, but that's fine. I can talk it out. So I'm Kendall Queen. I'm originally from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, which is actually like 5 miles away from where Matt grew up. I'm also PG County, so we do rep it hard. That's very real. Um, I originally came into UMBC in 2012, and earned my bachelor's of science in computer engineering there. I was a Meyerhoff Scholar as well, M24, which is where I met Matt as well as Miss Abreu. Um, and we really went through a lot of times to kind of get us to where we are. I'm a fast forward to this because I have more to say about all of that in a second. Eventually, in 2019, I was able to get my master's of science in engineering. Technically, it's a master in robotics and a PhD in electrical and systems engineering from University of Pennsylvania, and that kind of led me into this area or gave me the footing into this area of robotic software engineering, robotics, and computer vision, which is my research topics. Um, I'm a very firm believer in identity being multifaceted and multivariable. So as much as I put weight onto my professional and academic careers, I also do the exact same thing on everything else I do. And all of that is kind of displayed here. I'm a mobile DJ. That's kind of like my biggest thing right now. I've been a DJ since I've been DJing parties at UMBC since 2013.
There
So
we go. I was gonna say,
you
y'all,
know what
those
I'm
campus
saying?
Mhm.
bangers.
No,
We've
for
been
Thank
there.
real.
you.
For real. That was me behind the turntables playing on iTunes. It's crazy. Um
They don't know about
but
that.
on top of that, I'm a gamer. I'm currently at my setup right now, but I'm a gamer. I also drag race. Me and my brother. This is a video on the bottom left of me and my brother racing. He was in the white car, I was in the orange. Whooped his tail. He'll never live that down, and I will always remind him of it. Um, I was also like I said, I've been kicking parties since 2013 at UMBC. The video on the top left is actually a party I did for our president at the time. Um, when it was a couple years after I graduated, and they just asked me back and was like, "Hey, can you do this for me?" And everything went well. My support system is the top right. That's where I kind of get the idea of uncle, brother, son, mentor, and these are just a few of the faces that are closest to me and related to me that kind of support me. And on the bottom right is where I am now. I'm a robotics software engineer for Asalon Robotics. We are a perimeter security company, robotic perimeter security company, where we use drones and robot dogs to kind of surveil and patrol the grounds of our clients so that we are able to provide security and active surveillance for them. Um, Really quickly, I'm just going to kind of give you a quick rundown of like what my life has been like. So when I was a kid, I had a dream, and the dream kind of came from these movies or this movie. On the far left is Lost in Space. This is the movie that I saw. The Lost in Space on the right is probably what everybody else knows. But the idea of having like a robot friend was a huge thing for me. For some reason, that really spoke to me. So how do I get into robotics? How do I go into this field? How do I kind of help craft and visualize the future was like one of the things I was really interested in. So this was probably, let's call it 2000. So I was 6 to 10 when I saw the movie and generally when I started having these thoughts. And things didn't really start catching real ground until I got to college. And that's when I started, or catching real traction until I got to college. And that's when I started gaining support and a bit of direction from um, the folks at UMBC and the Myro program specifically that kind of helped me guide and steer where I needed to be pointing to kind of achieve some of these goals. And my goal wasn't always, hey, I just want like a robot friend that's going to be in my house type of thing. It kind of evolved and molded itself over time. It also was done that way based on how difficult things started to get, how hard those challenges started to hit me, and if this was a route that I wanted to go down or wherever the case may be. Um, but after kind of spending a lot of time in college, understanding where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, and kind of visualizing a lot more what my future could look like, that's when I started kind of just hitting the milestones, right? So top left is me and our other two brothers, Tolu and Jesse. Matt, I don't know where you were in this picture, but you're probably
Like,
like right off to the side.
in the
Um,
struggle, that's where I
in
was.
the struggle is crazy. But this was graduation from UMBC. This was a huge milestone for me. I thought I was really doing something, and I really did something. So I was really proud. Next part down, if you go down, this is the offer letter I got from University of Pennsylvania when they accepted me into their PhD program. From there, I did a lot of work that had to do with autonomous driving or self-driving cars. I took that really big problem and scaled it down to an RC car, which is what you see in the middle. On the top is one of the times where things got a little complicated. And this was a situation where I built this car, the RC car that's sitting there. Um, During the weekend, someone thought it was a good idea to put one of the heaviest books that we have in our lab on top of it and take apart some of the pieces from that car. So it was a real type of diabolical, like, let's mess with his stuff. I have an idea of who did it. I was never able to prove who did it. There was no cameras, there was no surveillance, there was nothing to kind of help me.
Cutthroat.
Yeah, yeah. So like things got a little weird, and it wasn't if it is who I think it is. No one else was doing this research. It was just literally like this is a joke, this is funny. Let's just do it. But this is some of the realities of the world, right? Like it's not always sunshine and rainbows. It's not always good. Um, the thing is, you go down to the next one. That's the newest version or the most recent version of the version that I used to graduate with. And it was significantly better than what the first version was. So even in the breakdown period, there was growth. The
Ooh.
next top right is kind of a view of all of my closest friends. A couple are missing here, but this was the right after my defense. And that was a huge milestone for me. And on my shirt, it literally says, I just didn't quit, which was something I kind of put into my defense presentation and show that, like, sometimes it's about keep going, keep going, keep going. And on the bottom right, this is me receiving my first challenge coin, which is like something in the military slash security industry that's like basically like a token of appreciation and like a sign of you're doing good work. And this is from the U.S. Air Marshals. But in all these milestones, there's always something that we need to talk about, and that's in between the spaces in between. Um, there are things that had happened. So in the top right, 2 months before that, my the relationship I was in ended. 30 days before the bottom middle picture of the car, 30 days before that, I was um I was diagnosed severely diabetic and on the verge of diabetic coma. And that was 6 months before I graduated. Every single one of these milestones comes with a high and low. There's something behind it that kind of got in the way, that was a resistance. And I started to kind of learn that resistance is a good thing as you start kind of getting pulled back, and eventually you'll let go and shoot off, right? That's all. The last thing I have, real quick, is this quote. Matt has a quote. I have a quote.
Mhm.
Everybody kind of lives by something. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. And this is one of those things that kind of crafted how I went about going through the goals that I have in my life. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm very happy to answer anything else, though. That's
Mhm.
Wow. I
random.
think
Mhm.
that, thank you both for taking the time to do that.
Mhm.
It gives us like a really great picture in terms of not only your career paths, but like how you ended up where you are. And it's very clear that the consistency and the perseverance that you both have shown is not only commendable, but just shows our students what it takes to get to where you actually want to be despite all of the setbacks. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. Listening to you both speak, you are obviously both great speakers in terms of being able to convey your stories and just like what you've been through. And I'm curious, and I know probably from Ivana's perspective, like seeing like the trajectory of like all of your growth over the years, but
Mhm.
thinking back to when you were in college, how did you learn how to talk about yourself with confidence before you had these titles and credentials? And I think that's something that a lot of our students are really working on right now is like, how do I speak about myself? I feel kind of awkward. I'm not sure what to say. So, any insight that you can give in terms of just like your growth in that area?
You want to go first?
I can go first. Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is fake it till you make it. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
It's a real thing. I think confidence is built and hard to come by, right? I think putting yourself in situations that are uncomfortable, especially in the name of growth, eventually you'll start out and you'll be like, "Oh, I don't really know what I'm doing." Actually, a very good example of this is like the question that was asked to Raphael a couple minutes ago about like being honest about I don't know what to do next. Being in that situation puts you in mentally in a spot where you have to like be uncomfortable, be honest, and kind of learn on the fly. But the next time that that happens, or the next time you find yourself in need of like communicating with someone else, the next time you have to help someone in a class, like because you went through that experience, your confidence is built. So putting yourself in a uncomfortable position when you don't have the confidence and you fake it like you do, or take a chance or step out on that limb, it forges something in you that builds you up. I know that's like real meta, but it's really true. Like the heart of it is I faked it a lot. I wore it on my face, I wore it in my posture,
Mhm.
but I didn't have it inside, and that didn't really come until a little bit later, until I started
Mhm.
seeing, oh, other people don't have it, or like I'm not alone in the situation.
Mhm.
But I had to take it
Yeah,
on and fake it a little bit.
yeah, yeah. Trust me, trust me. There are stories. No one realized. Like Kendall would tell stories all the time about how, like, yeah, no, I'm not confident. Everybody would be like, what? No one's. What are you talking about? You clearly. But yeah, so my, so that's definitely as an outside person looking at it, like, yeah, no, that definitely was true. For me, I'd say that it was seeing. Because as you are, as you go through school, as you go through like even high school, I would see how when people would just walk into a room and approach someone confidently, regardless of where they're at in their stages, whether that, freshmen, sophomores, whether regardless of their knowledge base, just the fact that you're able to present yourself as someone that, you're not, you're confident or comfortable with where you are gives people a positive impression of you in general. And
Mm,
so like most people see that, okay, well, even if this person may not know what they need to know, or maybe, maybe in this place like, oh, okay, well, this person still needs some experience here. It's like, okay, well, just wait till they get it, and then what? And so I feel like people have this impression of like, if you can present yourself confident, if you can speak with confidence, speak to what then, if all you need is to gain the information, then whatever. Because some people eliminate themselves from predicaments because they have everything they need, but they can't convey it in the confident way, or in the way that says they know it. So I saw a bunch of people that I knew in my own head. I was like, this person, I work with them every day. They don't even do their own homework. Like, what are we talking about? But yet at the same time, all they do is walk into a room and speak on. I was like, okay, well, if this person can do it, I can do it. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, and then you start, it gets reinforced in different ways, as you go along. The more you do it, as Kendall mentions, like, if you fake it till you make it, eventually you get better at, okay, well, let me talk, let me convey this, and so that's what it
Yeah.
was for me.
That's a really great, I mean, from both of you, right? Like,
Mm,
I think that
mm,
just further supports what Raphael was saying to us
mhm,
earlier, folks,
mhm,
right? Like, I think we get wrapped up in the how uncomfortable it feels because we don't know some things,
mhm,
but let's sit in the things we do know, right?
mhm.
That's how you get confident, is that we sit
Yeah.
in the things that we do know and we outwardly project that.
Mhm,
And then, like Raphael was telling us, we don't have to apologize. We don't have to,
mhm,
I think, no, no, we just,
mhm,
lean into it. So,
mhm,
appreciate you folks. And I know there's going to be some questions also coming up. I'm looking in the chat, but I know that I want to ask because I know that where most of our students are, they're also considering graduate school or advanced degrees or professional schools, right? And I would be remiss not to ask both of you, right? To talk a little bit more about that, right? Like that decision to get an advanced degree, but also some words of advice for our folks who are going to be entering into those spaces. Because Kendall, even just hearing the story of what happened with your car, right, with your model, like that's very, and I think our mentors have been telling folks about that, right? Like it can be a little cutthroat if we're not ready for it. So
mhm,
whichever one of you.
Yeah. No, I think I'll just use that as a segue. I think
mhm,
it was very eye-opening to see when I started at Penn, I was there technically like a few months beforehand, before the first day of classes. And I was there, I knew the hallways, I knew everything about who I was working with, some of the teachers I had in my classes, all the stuff. But I can just tell you, like day one, I felt like everything was um, so foreign. Same hallways I used to walk somehow felt empty, solemn, and like very isolating. Um, I think a lot of it, a good portion of it had to do with like imposter syndrome. So if you guys are familiar with that at all,
We just had a session.
that oh,
mhm,
great. Awesome. So a lot of it was imposter syndrome. I didn't exactly feel like I was in the right spot. I didn't feel like the space welcomed me. Um, and I struggled with that for a long time. And then I started to realize that it wasn't just me. Like there are some things, especially with people of color, it's very hard to discern if like what you're if you come up against some sort of resistance with people, it's hard to tell, especially if it's like white people or any other race, honestly. It's kind of hard to tell if it's racist or if it's like just like personal or personable.
Yeah.
Um and I spent a lot of energy like trying to figure out, oh, is this a racist situation, or is it like me not being a good
mhm,
person or not not fulfilling the roles that I'm supposed to
mhm,
fulfill? A lot of that just it takes time to really recognize what's going on and then to choose and discipline yourself with how you're going to move in that environment for whatever purpose. When it
mhm,
came to choosing a PhD or not, I'll tell people this to the day I die. Every day I thought about quitting just because it was a lot of pressure. I took on a lot in my family. I took on a lot in who I wanted to be, it was a lot of pressure, and every day I thought about like walking out the door and then just not coming back, or going out and making money somewhere else and living a much better life than where I was in grad school at the time. Um, I thought about quitting every day. In 2020, so 2020 was like the midway point. It was right when I got my master's or graduated with my master's. 2020, I quit. Like there was a point where I was like, I told my parents, look, guys, this is it. I'm walking away. I can't finish. I told Miss Baker, I was just on the phone with her a couple minutes ago. So like she was telling me, remember when you told me that you were done, you were going to quit. Um, I gave up, and then 2020 hit, and the whole world stopped. And as bad as that was, and there were a lot of reasons why 2020 was bad, which is why I think like Matt was saying that. But in all of that terribleness, I was able to take a breath and rejuvenate myself and like like reorient and realign what my purpose was in finding that fire. For anybody that's going into graduate school, I think graduate school is great. I think master's degrees are awesome. Um, PhDs are a little different. It's not about you paying your money and uh, getting good grades, and you get a piece of paper and you get the credentials and you learn a lot. PhDs, you have to build something. You have to create new knowledge in a field, and that is very uncertain. It's a very uncertain environment. You can be working for months and months and months, and it could be nothing to the
Yeah.
contribute like to contribute to your PhD or to your thesis.
Or a year,
And that or
or
yeah,
two
or
years. It can take a little bit.
for
Yeah,
real.
that was
Um,
gonna go into that. Yeah.
yeah, I'll skip over it if you want to go into it then.
hmm
But doing with a like getting if you want to get a PhD, for example, I would say have a really good reason, and then be ready for when you need a new reason to keep going. Getting in, there's difficulties, but when you're there, you're gonna constantly need something to fuel you, and kind of bring you fire to your action. So
hmm
I would definitely look at it that way. But Matt, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just to piggyback off that. I was gonna say, in choosing the PhD, I was one person that, I mean, we were fortunate enough to go to a school that kind of like really taught us about what getting a PhD meant. And so for me, I didn't even really know what it meant until probably freshman, sophomore year of college. And then even then, I still didn't really know what it meant. And then I get to grad school and I'm in the PhD program. I was like, oh, this is what they do. This is how things go. And so for me, I feel like at each one of those points where I was like, oh, I'm learning more about what it takes, is why I think I even like why I wanted to mention the quote I said earlier. Because for me, what really pushed me through was this idea of, so I'm a first generation STEM grad school. So like, and I have only one family member who was even in STEM in general, but now I'm the first one going to grad school and now the first one in my family to get a doctorate. And so each one of those things, each one of those points was a point for me where I was like, okay, well, I don't know if I want to do this. And then I go home and someone, I have family or friends saying, look, every step you take is whether you succeed. I'm sorry, if you see the lights going out over here, it's because my office, doesn't
There
like
we go.
people being here on the weekend. So, but yeah, each one of those steps, I had family saying, no, keep going. If they haven't, and I heard this you'll hear this from so many grad students, if they haven't kicked you out yet, you must be doing something okay. You must be doing something fine. So, because that the one thing that I will say that like the PhD does it, once again, you have a lot of people who are smart, you have a lot of people who are striving to be great, and sometimes that can feel, you start comparing, the comparison piece or
Yeah.
happens a lot. And so one of the ways that I guess that I pushed through is I started kind of saying, going back to what I said earlier about, when you go into a room and you feel like you're not where you should be, or you feel like you're not where you're honest, but you need to talk to somebody, you need to convey something to somebody, that really takes you through a bunch of stuff, a bunch of things, including, okay, well, I'm in this PhD. I know I'm doing work. I know I'm trying my best. I know I'm doing what I need. I know I'm doing the best I can do. To me, I'd say keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. As long as you know you're doing your best,
Mhm.
until you have made a point where you say that, like, I'm doing my best and I still don't want to do this, then don't let anyone stop you. Like, don't let anyone convince you that your best isn't good enough until you have said, no, my best, I feel like my best is best deserved somewhere else. So I would say that, like, to keep that and I never got to that point. I had people telling me, okay, well, you might want to reconsider. And I'm saying, like, okay, well, I'm still making progress. I'm still making people proud. I still have people in my corner that are still supporting me. And so I'd say definitely have people in your corner in these spaces. Like, you may have people here that, aren't, may not be in your corner, and people that, well, they say, I'm not sure if we've talked about the difference between mentors, advocates, and
Yeah.
supporters, but, like, make sure you find advocates wherever you go, people that will keep it real with you. Because, once again, we do want to be realistic about things. We don't want to be naive, but at the same time, when you're trying something that's hard, you got to have what they say about, like, NBA players. There is that little bit of confidence. There is that little bit of, maybe one screw loose, but,
Yeah.
you still want people that, that, will give it to you real, tell it to you, or that you can trust. But that's what kind of kept me going.
Yeah,
I
that community aspect is super
Hmm.
important. Having
Yeah.
the right people, like Matt is one of these people for me, for
Hmm.
sure. But having people who see you and know you,
Mm-hmm.
and what you value, whatever that might be, whatever that might look
Hmm.
like, those types of people have the ability to speak life and breath into you when you need it the most. So, like, taking time to find those advocates, mentors. I forget the third one. What was the third one, Matt?
Advocates, mentors, I think just supporters in general.
Supporters.
Yeah.
Having those avenues like fulfilled in your life, kind of like I use as my friend circle has always been like a bullseye. As you kind of get
Hmm.
closer, you get closer to me. Or as you get to the bullseye, you get closer to me. But having those people that are able to kind of speak life into you is super important.
thank you both for saying that. I think that last piece is so important in terms of like building your community and having people that you can turn to for that support. And I love that, Kendall, you talked about earlier that piece about wanting to quit every day. And that is something that as we have these conversations with mentors, whether they're going for like their PhDs, they're in med school, even like STEM majors for undergrad, I wanted to quit every day. Like I cried.
Hmm.
I failed this class multiple times. It was not easy. And I think
Hmm.
that's something that is so important for our young people to hear is that they see the title at the end of your name and assume like it must have come easy. Like they were just good at it, right? So I commend you
Hard
both
class.
for speaking that into this group in terms of knowing that it was hard. I wanted to quit. It was not easy, right? But turning to those circles to push you forward and to continue to support you. I saw a question earlier from Devon, who might have stepped away. Devon, I'll give you an opportunity. Oh, there
Oh, there she is.
she is.
Hmm.
If you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
I guess I'll just read off of it because I think I worded it okay. Just how did you turn your passion into something that you wanted to do, like finding your inspiration and then turning it into a career? Because I know, especially me, but some other people in this call aren't completely confident in what we wanted to do. So, how did you turn that into something you know that you wanted to do for at least the most of the rest of your life?
I can take that
Yeah.
because I didn't know what I wanted to when I got into college. I started out as a chemical engineering major,
Oof.
mainly because the only thing I knew about was I liked math, and my mom looked at a paper and said, "Well, they can't do anything, so they don't do it. All they do is teach." And I was like, "Okay, well, what about there's like, yo, you do chemistry and physics. What about they did chemical engineering? It just so happened that those people were also at the top of pay scale, in this magazine she read. So it was like, oh, you should do that. And I was like, oh,
His mom's a trip,
okay.
y'all.
I was like, oh, okay. But I tried that, and I was successful mainly because of my community. But I recognized that once my community started splitting off in undergrad because I was chemical engineering. I was only African American in chemical engineering. It was hard for me to break out of that, uh, basically like form that community outside of the people I was comfortable with. And basically that led to me taking like grades didn't do so well. And I had to just reevaluate exactly what was pushing me to keep doing. I was going to. it wasn't in my head that I wasn't graduating or anything, but I was still just like keeping me to finish this path. And I took a second. I was like, okay, well, I do like math. I do like science. I do like chemistry, physics. I do enjoy those things. I do enjoy learning more within those fields. And then I took it to a personal level. My mom is also a three-time cancer survivor, and I was just like, if there is something that I have a passion for, that I can always find that fire for, it's this it's this piece where it's like, okay, this speaks to me. I know what battle she went through. I know what other people in my family have gone through related to this, you know, terrible disease. And so for me, I said, okay, well, I still want to be engineering because I had a prideful thing. It was a whole thing at UMBC. I still wanted to be engineering. And so I said when I went to grad school that I was going to be in a biomedical engineering program and hopefully, and then ideally have a project that focuses on fighting cancer. And then that passion for me of, okay, I want to do something that touches a number of lives, but also touches to a personal point close to me in an area that I know if I just dedicate enough time, I can wrap my head around it. I can get it. Just a matters of how much time, energy, and effort I'm willing to put into it. And that
Yeah.
kind of pushes me forward. And so that's kind of how I chose the field and area that I'm in because I know it's an area that I'll always have a personal passion for.
That's really
Yeah.
powerful,
Go
Matt.
ahead.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, just in
Hmm.
general, right? Like, I think again, we always want this to look like, I don't know if it's
Hmm.
the media or the really
Hmm.
loud people that know what they're passionate about that
Yeah.
make us feel a type of way, but you always want it to like look differently, but it's
Hmm.
just as simple as, yo, I love my mom, and my mom
Hmm.
went through this really terrible thing. And now
Hmm.
what's always going to keep me motivated is making sure
Hmm.
that people like my mom are good,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
That's wonderful, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Kendall.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Matt, definitely take that question. I knew that was the background.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me, I'm not gonna lie, I think there was a lot of luck involved. I think I always kind of had, like I said, I had this dream of robot friend, whatever. Um, that was really appealing to me, but I wasn't always certain that that was what my future was going to look like. I think there were plenty of times where that seemed to change and seemed to shift. But I always kind of found myself coming back to it.
Yeah,
I'm not super, I don't know if anybody on the call is religious or spiritual or, have faith in different ways. But I'm not really as religious as I used to be. But I do firmly believe that doors open and sometimes they swing wide open when you're supposed to walk through them. And there's some things that convict you to go. And it's also um like a internal feeling, like a body feeling. Like my body reacts, your body reacts when you're in places where you feel like you're happy. And learning how to recognize that can help guide you towards and kind of realign your goals towards where you feel the best.
yeah,
How to make that happen? I think the biggest thing is having the community. And that network is specifically what I'm talking about. Like having people that know people or people um, that can put you in positions and open up opportunities for you. I
yeah,
know like earlier in college years, even like midway to the end of college, that's a really hard thing to do to build a network, to have, people that are willing to do things for you. Um, most most people in those positions, me included, Matt included, most people in positions of some version of power are happy to put you in rooms with people that can change your trajectory.
yeah,
There are some gatekeepers out there, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not one of them, and the people you're on the call with today aren't any of them. And anybody you encounter through this program are not gatekeepers either. So utilizing your network. Um, Also take some time to really take stock in what you love, what you want to do, and what you love can be separate. In my case, I think I really like robotics. I think I really like challenges. I think that gives me a sense of purpose. But like, if I'm being honest, I don't love it. Like, music is something that I love. Like, empowering younger people is something that I love. But robotics pays me though. So I gotta figure out a good balance of figure out a good balance of how can I do something and live the way that I want to,
Yeah.
and also do the things that like bring me happiness, bring myself purpose, and bring others like together if that's like a goal I have, or it impacts others positively is a goal I have. So it is a hard thing to figure out. I
Hmm.
think the best way that I was able to is to have people around me that had some answers. Miss Abreu being one of them, the Meyer Hall program being one of them. Like people that have a connection that can open a door. And then you just start kind of opening doors. Some doors I went through and I was like, this was open and it wasn't for me. And I walked out. Um, and like being honest with yourself about what that looks like is important too, but it's complicated and it'll change for everybody. But being real with yourself and knowing how you feel and what you want to do is a good North Star. And you just keep searching for opportunities to open that up.
Mhm.
Thank you. So, I mean, yeah. And I think especially where our students are, right, where folks are in the room, that definitely resonates with what we've been talking about all this time, y'all. So, thanks for saying that, Kendall. I also wanted to leave space. I know we're running down on time, but Zalia had a great interaction with you, Kendall, in the chat, and I think we should make space for that, right? And as we've interacted with our mentors, right, or just BCS students in general, as you're now split around the country, and interacting in communities, and folks are interacting with you, right, that have never been around Black people or people of color. Yeah, Kendall, do you want to address your response? Because I thought that was really great to
Yeah.
Zelaya.
Yeah. I think so. You guys can see it there. I'm gonna try to extrapolate on it. I think there's So I have a very unique perspective because I grew up in PG County, which is primarily black. I went to school um, in PG County again with black people, black friends, and then when I got to about high school, I ended up switching to a prep school, which was primarily white. And there was an adjustment period for me to like understand how do I interact with white people because it's different. Like hands down, it was different. Um, the thing that I found was that there are some, like from any race, there are some that just hate whatever that might look like. It could be white people on black people, Indian people on black people on white people. There's hate, right? Um, so the biggest things that kind of stuck out to me, Zelaya, I think, is that if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I want to make sure that's correct. But the thing that really really struck a chord with me was figuring out how to be in a space where you are not necessarily welcome, but your motivation and your preparation and your objectives aren't impacted. I
Yeah.
think that is the figuring out how to do that is probably the most important thing you'll have to do if you plan on being anybody in this world.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it took me a long time to get to a point. You have to again, like you got to have like a screw a little loose. It took me a long time to get to a point where I don't really care what you have to say about who I am when I know who I am. I don't really care who you think I am. I know that when I come to a room and I bring something to the table, that table is full based on what I have and what I'm willing to give. And no one's going to be able to take that from me. And the only way that it gets reduced is if you make me want to reduce it or if I do it by myself.
Yeah.
Getting to that mindset is not easy. you have to spend like the confidence building that we were talking about. You have to spend time in some places and you have to recognize that you bring something that other people do not. Even actually, you can bring something that other people do and you can still do it better.
Mm.
I think it's super important to just realize that when you're in tension or in contention with other people, um, you have to be able to check in with yourself and figure out if this is where you want to be, if you want to stay this
Yeah.
way, and how you want to approach it. And your background will tell you, like some people are in a very toxic situation where they always have to win, always, always, always have to win. If they lose, it's bad for everybody involved. Um, oh, this is actually a perfect segue. Therapy. Therapy is great. Take time and go to therapy because you'll start realizing that there are some things that you might want to change about yourself. There's some perspectives that you might have. There's information that you can gain from therapy that will teach you how to better communicate what your thoughts are, communicate your presence, your perspective in rooms that you might not be welcomed in. A lot of that I learned in therapy. Um, and I think it's just super important to recognize that like not everybody deserves your space. Not everybody deserves to be that not everybody deserves full access to you. Not everybody should have access to your emotions, meaning like they can trigger you whenever they feel like it, or they can
Mhm.
say
Yeah.
something and you react, right?
Mhm.
Like it takes time to really build up um that wall and kind of separate yourself in the situation. It's
Mhm.
very hard to do that if you've never seen it before. It's very hard to do it if you've never done it before. Um, but taking
Yeah.
time to control yourself and come in control. And it's
Yeah.
not just like your emotions controlling you or your mind controlling you.
Mhm.
So,
I was gonna say
um,
like a quick practice or workshop, but there's a word I'm looking for there. But a quick thing you could do, even in therapy, help is if you ask like your five closest people in your life, could be your mom, your friends, whatnot, just what are your five adjectives that they would use to describe you, and see what some common themes that come out of that is, and have like and make that kind of like, okay, well, these are the five things people see in me. And they might not be, oh, I'm the smartest. Everyone says I'm the smartest, or like everyone says I'm the most analytical. But like these five things, even soft skills, have been things that you can bring that no someone else can't in a room. And those can be and vital and important in all spaces. So that's just a way to like start trying to tease out, okay, I'm not sure what do I bring? It's you can start there, and it's a good exercise to do.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Mhm.
So and I guess we're also coming down on time. So we want
Mhm.
to be respectful and mindful of everyone, of course. But before we go, right, again, we would be remiss not to, and y'all, again, you keep hearing them talk about Miss Abreu back in her advising bag. That was me. But like truly, you guys, again, the blessing of being in this field is being able to see students grow and see students manifest and pivot and all those things. So really great advice and answers today, guys. Could
Mhm.
you share with us maybe just one more final for our college-aged folks, of course, about self-confidence and career direction? What's something that you would tell yourself? We always like to finish up with that.
I can go first. So I would tell myself way back when that, and I'm sorry it's happening again. I would tell myself way back when
Way back
that
when.
basically reach out, reach out and talk to people. You can send out, you know, thousands of messages or emails to people that you've gotten emails or messages for, just wanting to talk and see what they do. And you may send out 1,000, you may
Yeah.
only get back 50, but it's still those 50 can help you decide anything. Like just help you figure out, okay, well, this sounds interesting. I actually want to find out more about this. Or actually, I don't need to find out any more about that if that's what they do. I would say to definitely don't be afraid to
Definitely don't.
reach out and ask. I went through grad school, undergrad thinking like, oh, I think I might be interested in this. And I didn't get to past grad school asking people like, oh, so what exactly do you
Yeah.
do? Or what is your day to day? And so I would say that's something you should definitely do when it comes to like looking for careers, looking for things like when people tell you or you see somebody, just ask them, okay, well, what is your day to day? What do you do? Because I live like I'd say every day, one day at a time, 1 week at a
Mhm.
time. And so my day to day and what I do regularly, consistently really impacts my mental health and how that operates. So I would say definitely don't be afraid to reach out to any and everybody, just trying to figure out what they do. And even your praise be like, I'm just really interested in learning more about what you do and how you do it. Um,
Great
and just
advice.
yeah, that's a way that I really like. That was my icebreaker whenever I was speaking to somebody new that I was just like, I don't even know what I offer you. I just really am interested in you and what you do.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's my advice I would give to my undergrad. So
Me too, Matt.
mhm.
I would
Go ahead, Kendall.
yeah, I'm a second that for sure.
Mhm.
I tell people all the time when I go speak, I have a really wide network. There's a lot of people that I know of. There's a lot of people that know me. And 85% of them can't do anything for me. Like they are not in my career path. They are never going to get me promoted. They're never going to get me a
Mm.
job. 85% of my network is useless to me specifically and my goals. Um, but that 85% could be super helpful for you someday soon, if not now. So definitely be in a position to reach out and be ready to reach out to other people. I
Oh.
think the let's low back up, low. The last I have like a couple of things I always say at the end of talks that I would definitely give myself advice. Probably one of the most important things, and that is be comfortable in your own skin. I think it's super important to take stock in who you are and understanding if that is who you want to be. So, similar to the five adjectives exercise, um, understanding that the person that you convey, if that's the person that you want to be known as, and if that's the person you want to be seen as. Some points and times in my life that was not those were not the same. So I had to make adjustments to show that that was a thing. But um, yeah, it's you guys are young. Like
Whole lives
I
ahead
think
of them, right?
no, seriously,
Yeah.
it was so. I used to think it was so stupid when people said that in talks. They would just be like, "Oh, you're so young, you got time," and I would be like, "It's such bullshit. I have no time." But the reality of the matter is, you have time, and that's good. But you also can be active in your time, and you can be proactive with your time, and start like again reaching out to these people. Start dreaming a little bit about what you want to do. I think it's really hard for people, especially people of color I've seen, to dream and believe that it's possible. I think a lot of people can
Yeah.
sit down and like think about, oh, I want to have $1 million. Oh, I want to own a business. Oh, I want to drive a G-Wagon. Like everybody has like these
Yeah.
ideas of what they want to do, and then time will catch up with you and you never do it, or you realize, wow, time is
Yeah.
gone. I don't know if I can still do it, right? I think being proactive and, dreaming a little bit about what you want and what you want to get out of life, and then putting some action behind it, right? It could be small. The good thing is it could be small because you have time to do it. But write it down, put it somewhere, put it on your mirror. That's something that we learned in Meyerhoff. The first when we were in bridge, like the pre-program to college, um, someone had us take out a piece of paper and like pull a strip off of it and write down your name with PhD at the end or Doctor such and such. So I did Dr. Kendall J. Queen was what I wrote on that paper, and I kept that paper somewhere, and I just found it like maybe 5 years ago somewhere, and I don't know where it is now. But it's stuff like that that kind of reminds you of who you want to be and who you are.
Yeah.
So
Thanks
Don't
for
lose
saying
that.
that, Kendall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super I mean, both of you, right?
Mm.
So round of applause, folks, round of virtual applause. I know we're coming up on time, but of course we want to say thank you to Kendall and to Matthew. Super inspiring. And again, y'all, students that work with me and Cheryl, they're just dope, aren't they?
Hmm.
Um, but again, you have so much life to live, you guys, and so much more advice coming your way. Real quick, okay? We put a survey, the survey for today. Please make sure that you fill that out. I'm leaving it up on the screen here, in case somebody's taking a quick video, a quick picture. Um, but please provide us with that feedback. Putting the calendar of events, right? So today's our first one back, but we have plenty going on, right? The rest of the month. Next week we have another mentor engagement opportunity, and then and then at the end of the month we have another really impressive group of mentors for you to interact with in healthcare. So please make sure that as we're sending these out, you're registering, and that way we know who's in the room.
And how
Perfect.
timely.
Oh, go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, there might be a little bit of a lag, so let me know if you can't hear me. But I think so timely at the first half of our call, and actually even during this session, it came up the need to practice, the need to being able to work on like the conversation that you're having as you are applying for internships and for jobs. So we are going our last session with you all in February 21st. We will be having our Hire in Action mock interview day. So this is an opportunity to do a one-on-one mock interview with one of our Innovate Her mentors. So potentially a mentor that you've interacted with on one of these calls. But these are real, you're going to have the opportunity to be asked real interview questions. It's a supportive setting, and you'll have an opportunity to actually get feedback from mentors like live as well. So just know that all of our BCS students will be participating in this on February 21st. We are going to need you all to schedule your interview. So please scan the interview code down here, and we are actually going to add the link to the chat as well. That way you can get first priority in terms of your interview time slot. It'll be a 20-minute time slot that you'll have an opportunity to do a one-on-one session. So make sure that you are getting to that. We're also going to highlight, once again, I saw a few of you already signing up during today's session, but as always, our resume one-on-one sessions are an excellent opportunity to brush up on your resumes, your cover letters, and application materials. And also noting that for your one-on-one interviews, you do have to submit a resume before you can get into an interview. So please make sure, if you haven't done so already, you need to schedule a session for your resume one-on-one. But before that February 21st, you will be submitting a resume for a mentor to actually review and use that during your interview. So please make sure that you're signing up for a time slot. Also, a few of you have already
Um,
started signing up with us. Can you go ahead, Ivana?
Oh, I was just gonna say, hit the like, subscribe, all of that on our YouTube. Please make sure, we've already seen some of you start to interact with us on YouTube. So really exciting. We'll put this session back up. We'll put all of our sessions, right? Like I like to listen back to these and just let our mentors inspire me, right? So please make sure that you're doing that. And also, I saw that Kendall and Matthew put their information in. Raphael also shared his. 48-hour rule, people. Remember, we talked about in the beginning. So make sure that you're starting to connect with these really great mentors. All right, Cheryl, moment of truth.
All right. So we are going to be able to raffle off $100 voucher for anything professional. So professional attire, towards conferences, all of those great pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen once it stops freezing. Can everybody see that? Ivana, can you
Not
see my
yet.
screen?
Oh, there you are. Not yet. We can see your screen now, Cheryl. Hit spin. Spin
Okay.
that wheel.
So everybody, you obviously have to be here for the duration of the session in order to be eligible for the drawing. So the $100 voucher is going to Morgan. Congratulations, Morgan.
Oh, we had a lag.
Thank you.
Ooh, Morgan said I'm here. Great job, Morgan. Congratulations.
We'll
And all
follow.
of you. We'll also be in contact with the folks that yep, the folks at Raphael's we have those swag bags. So thank you again, Kendall and Matthew and all of you for being here. And we'll see you next week at the next
It
session.
was a pleasure.
Thanks,
Yep,
everybody.
Connect with them,
pleasure.
y'all.
Yeah, hit me
Yeah, check
up.
out Kendall's mixes too, y'all.
Hey, oh yeah.
He's also on YouTube. He's also on YouTube.
Shameless plug.
I'll do it
Oh
for you.
God. All
Bye,
right,
I
guys.
had a
folks.
question regarding the
Bye.
resume
Thank you.
workshop. The QR wasn't working for
Yeah, go
me.
ahead, Morgan. Ooh.
Is there like a link that you guys have, maybe?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and put it in the chat.
I had another question really quick. I did this to get the resume back.
You so you should have met with Myra and she gave you some
Yeah.
feedback. Oh, but you're saying she did some like live typing editing for
Yeah, we
you
like made it
and
together, redid it, and then that was it. I was gonna
oh
send an
no.
email, but I was not sure.
No worry, Devon. I'll do it for you and we'll make sure that she sends that back to you,
Okay, thank
okay?
you. Should I send an email
Great.
still or just leave it?
No worries, Devon. You already told me. We'll go
Okay,
ahead and do it.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Have a
guys.
great day.
Yeah, we'll leave the room open if there's any other questions or y'all just want to hang.